And I think a lot of people, they get afraid. Honestly, a lot of people have probably tried a little bit, but then it starts getting hard. They start disappointing people, running into setbacks. It starts getting, friction starts to occur, and they just toss it aside. And that's actually a sign that you're on the right path, because the devil doesn't want you to start living out who you're supposed to be. You're losing all your money, your homes, your kids hate you, or you're getting some relational dissonance, friction. Oh, random neighbor stuff happens. Perfect. Keep going.
All right, welcome back for another episode. Today, I have an amazing guest with a little personal story attached. He's out of Seattle, Washington. He is the founder and CEO of First Light Studios, engineer by training, operator by the rep. Spent many years at GE, then pursued on to SaaS, venture capital, did some time with Consumer Bros Products, and did all this before launching this business he's in now, First Light Studios. He has personally managed over $57 million on Amazon, guys. He has worked with VC-backed startups and household names you've seen on the shelves at Walgreens and REI. He's also a proud father of two, a man of faith, an Alaskan kid by birth. And here's the personal part. As I mentioned earlier, he and I connected at a conference in Orlando. We were just talking about this in the green room. Had a great conversations, had a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed being with him, and I like to think he reciprocated in that. But and we parted ways, right? Life's, we go do our own thing. And completely random, we get pitched by his assistant to come on my podcast. So this is a rematch, my friend. The man whose intake came back to me with one of the most honest 2 words I've ever given anybody to any season. Joshua Lee, my man, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Karl. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, man.
And just thank you for that introduction. And I love seeing you in this podcast format. When we met in Orlando, it was just kind of a moment where, I don't know, I just felt like it was one of those random moments that you have that you're just so grateful for and you remember. And I remember that time very vividly.
Yeah.
We were just sitting down on the bench and just talking through some things and more personal topics about grit and, how you handle adversities. And excited that we get to talk about some of that today.
Yeah.
So thank you, Karl.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. Yeah, I remember that conversation vividly too, man. We were sitting outside on the bench. It was raining out, as it usually does at this time of year in Orlando, right? At least in the afternoon. But yeah, it was great conversations, right? So, all right, my man. What's that?
Yeah. Nope. It was just one of those combos where you go deeper than you think you would.
Yeah, that's true, man. That is true for sure. But Josh, man, before First Light Studios, before all of the things that that's going on today, you were a kid in Alaska. Take us back, man. Take us back to a moment. Paint me this picture. What was the version of you like? What did you think life was going to be like when you grew up, man?
Yeah, that's a great question. Both my parents actually immigrated from Korea when they were younger. So my dad actually moved to Alaska when he was just starting high school, so probably around 13 or 14 years old. And he didn't know any English, moved out there to like the northern part of Alaska called Delta Junction, which is north of Fairbanks.
Okay.
And it was like a town of just like a couple hundred people at the time. And it gets to like negative 50 degrees.
It's kind of cold.
And it gets cold. But, my parents, they had some hard times, just coming through, they're an entrepreneur family. So our family's entrepreneurial, but some things happened in the 90s and they just sort of never recovered financially. And on top of that, both my parents actually are physically disabled. And so my mom has polio. And so one leg shorter than the other. Then my dad actually also, he has a spine situation where he basically has like a bent spine. And so all that being said, I would say my childhood, it really, the whole, we didn't have much growing up. People didn't really look at our family, in a great light. So all that being said, I think, those childhood years were formative in good ways and bad ways. It taught me how to be entrepreneurial, and it taught me how to get what I wanted, what I needed in very creative ways. But also at the same time, it taught me to be grateful for what I do have because of how little we did have. And we were so reliant on sort of the day to day.
Sure.
And so I would say, I'm discovering how my childhood has really formed me and how that plays out today.
Yeah.
I've got young kids. I'm in my 30s, so I'm just unraveling and going through what that means. But a lot of it has a lot of that grit, that persistence, and that spirit of gratitude has been a core of what I would say has helped me be successful in what I've done. But I would say, childhood is really important.
Yeah.
It's not something that you compare with others.
Yeah.
It's your childhood and it's your experience. And
it's true.
It's what you have and it doesn't define you.
So true. It doesn't define you, man. I think that's probably one of the key lines that, that really stuck out to me, what you just said for the last couple episodes, because a lot of people do let that define them, right? They do let that define who they are. Even as of recent, they let their past define who they are today. And it's so not true, man. So not true. But all right. So fast forward right before you started First Light Studios, by every metric, you were doing fine. And I could personally resonate this. I think you and I have had this, kind of conversation, right? You had some real rooms on your resume. You had the kind of titles that look good on LinkedIn. And then you walked away, right? Take us to that version of you the week before you actually pulled the trigger. What did the outside look like? I mean, what was already off underneath, man?
Yeah, I would say, I was doing the W-2 job route, had great jobs, good names on the resume, and was doing well by all things considered, just like you said. But something deep down inside, I knew that what I was doing wasn't what I wanted to do. And I was only doing the thing that I was doing because I thought it was the right thing to do. And I was looking around too much versus looking inside into who I was created to be and why I was created on this earth.
Yes.
What am I built to do? Why am I here? And why am I made up of all these skills?
Yeah.
My untapped potential, scars and gifts from the past, my DNA.
Yes.
When I was, 25 or something like that, that's when I sort of wrestled. I was in a product manager job at a tech startup that ended up selling for like close to 900 billion years later.
Jeez.
They had an exit years later.
That's incredible.
Like 4 years later. And it was a payments solution in Redmond, Washington here. And I was like the product manager of the payments platform and launching features.
Yeah.
But it was in that role where I was kind of like, I know I want to be an entrepreneur. And I know this is not the best and the greatest for me. For others, it is, but not for me. And I knew that deep down, but I didn't know what it was. There was just some discontentment. And it was because I was going down a path that I didn't want to be on. And the more that I progressed, the more I was going away from what I really wanted to do. So in that moment, I made a decision I think it was December at the time. I made a decision to put in my resignation letter and start that entrepreneurial journey. And the bad thing about it is I didn't really have great communication with my wife. We were both working at the time, which was great, but we didn't quite see eye to eye on that. But I basically was like, hey, I'm going to do this anyways, which is not the right move.
No, it's not. No.
So that's a story in itself, which is like a huge lesson learned. But I would say like that was not a great start to our relationship, but it did help me kind of get off that path and start that entrepreneurial journey.
Nice. That's great, man. And I know I think you and I talked about this, not as much in depth, but this is what plagues a lot of people, right? They chase metrics. They chase even, material things. And don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with material success. There's nothing wrong with that at all, right? But when we're chasing it, there's only so much material stuff that you can get, right? And there's only so much money. There's only so much space. And honestly, too,
I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah,
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I mean, you look at it, man. I mean, it's temporary, right? And I mean that both, spiritually as well as realistically. It's only temporary because you think about anything new you buy or get, you feel great for a little bit, but eventually that fades off, Yeah. And but I agree, man. For me, that was one of my biggest issues. When I left e-commerce, man, it wasn't because it was the industry or things got hard. Yes, things got hard for sure, right? Yeah. But it was more of like, man, I just woke up one day and I'm like, man, I'm no longer passionate about this. I'm no longer fulfilled. I'm no longer happy. I'm not experiencing joy, right? Yeah. And on the surface, I had everything: beautiful home, cars, and money, and all that good stuff. But deep down, I was like, I felt empty. I felt empty, and I think this is why. No, I'm of the belief this is why so many quote unquote successful people are miserable, right? Because they think chasing more money will actually fill that void, right?
Yeah, and I just do want to add two things. The first is the entrepreneurial journey is lonely.
Yes, it is.
A lot of people around you will not be able to relate. When you start getting success, this is my experience. When I started hitting milestones, and after months and months, years of failure, I finally had some lucky breaks. It was a mind shift that had to change in order to hit those. I was unable to relate with my peers more. Just the way of thinking was totally different. I didn't enjoy dinners. And I've since kind of come back to the reality of it and become more grounded. But at the time, I started lost my ground. And I think that's very common in the entrepreneur journey, and it's not talked about. It's not something it's like, hey, watch out for that. Like you're going to become a lot more unrelatable. Like,
yes,
the wins that you talk about, you'll get, hey man, really proud of you. But that's really about it. You're not going to
be able
to.
It's 100%. It's 100% correct, man. I mean, I hosted a webinar last night. I do these every Wednesday evenings. And one of the key points I drive home is the isolation aspect. Isolation in entrepreneurship, and somebody had mentioned that I think it hit home really hard for her. She mentioned that she was an operator for most of her life, that she moved over business owner to be a business owner, and she said it's been the loneliest journey she's ever experienced. Because nobody gets it, nobody understands, nobody knows what to tell her, right?
Yeah.
I get it. That circle is lonely, but
Yeah.
let's move on to an area that because when I saw this on your bio, on your intake, I'm like, oh, I gotta pull this out of him. But you wrote exactly one honest answer. Actually, you wrote all honest answers. I'm not gonna say they're just one, right? But
I mean, a lot of it could be AI. Not gonna lie.
well,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you and I both follow Dan Martell because I remember that was part of our conversation.
Absolutely.
Too, right?
Absolutely.
So, and he's all AI, so I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, man. All the way.
Of all the questions about cost, right? Of all the questions about cost, rock bottom, in the hardest season you're willing to discuss, you left every box blank, right? Except for one. What challenges you the most when life gets heavy? 2 words: leadership weight, right? That door we are walking through. Take me to a specific moment, or take us to a specific moment, not the category, not, I'll give us the details, a scene, a morning or a meeting, a decision you carried alone that nobody on your team knew that you were carrying. Where did you go, or where did you have to go back to in that moment?
That's a powerful question. I would say I'll have to tell it in a story, though.
Mm-hmm. Please do. I love stories.
2 years ago, I was introduced to a guy who used to be the CMO of a couple agencies here locally, was subsidiaries of sort of a Publicis, a larger agency, and he ended up becoming the CMO of a very large, one of the top 5 Amazon resellers. And he ended up leaving that role and to start something else, but we kind of got connected through another agency owner that I met here at the office, and he just said something. We were meeting for the first time, and he told me about his life story, and he told me about some of the challenges he was going through with work and family, the tension there, and I was like, how do you do it? And he was like, you just do it. You just got to do it. And kind of like a man up kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, because at the time, actually, I was struggling with trying to, I was struggling with some issues in our personal life, in my relationship with my wife, actually. And it was very difficult. We were just at that point, married 8 years, 9 years, and just going through, reevaluating what's important and how are we going to, young kids, business, not a lot of time to connect. So, people say around the 10-year mark is kind of when a lot of couples just have these kinds of difficult situations. And that was really weighing on me heavily, which is why I asked that question. And fast forward 2 years, I understand what he's saying, but the leadership weight, that journey, in my experience, there are little skills that you practice that builds over time. It's a muscle.
Yes.
So the 2 years ago myself, it was hardly able to handle that. I was falling apart and I wasn't handling it well. Fast forward 2 years, I have those skills, the positive self-talk, being able to have a setback, analyze it, and just throw it out. Just look at what you can control and throw out the negative feelings.
Yes.
Just doing things like that, multiple setbacks doesn't matter. It's not going to impact how I feel and
Agree.
the energy that I have. But those are things I had to train, continually choose to do. They're easier now, right? But it's still a skill that I'm developing. But I would say that there's multiple little skills in leadership. It's like a package.
Yeah.
It's like a package, which is why I can't answer it like directly.
Sure.
But it's like everyday moments that you choose whether or not you're gonna get back up and choose to believe that, hey, you can do this.
Yeah. Or
you kind of get back up and you kind of start believing you can't do this.
Yeah.
And
it's absolutely true.
So that's kind of what leadership weight is, in my opinion.
No, that's great, man. And I hope that everybody is listening right now. Let me unpack this for a moment, because a lot of people think that you have to be like, leadership is this natural, innate ability that people have, right? And that's not true. Are there people who are probably more inclined to be better leaders? Probably, right? But everybody can learn to be a great leader, right? It's all about just putting in the reps, face the uncomfortable situations, right?
Yeah.
Allowing your brain to get used to being uncomfortable, because the sweaty palms, the pounding heart, that's all part of it,
Yeah. That's actually how you know you're on the cusp of a breakthrough, is when you start getting that. When you start doing those multiple times, that's a sign, that's confirmation you're trying.
Yeah.
If you're not getting those moments where you're in those fears, sweaty palms, you're not trying hard enough.
Agree, man. Agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, this is where we get forged into a different person, a better person. This is how we learn how to,
forge.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I remember you and I talked about that movie, right? Real quick before we keep rolling. Maybe life hit you hard. Business fell apart. Career isn't working out. Relationship ended. Health took a dive. And now you're staying in the rubble trying to figure out what the next move even looks like. Or maybe nothing blew up at all. On paper, you're winning, sure. But on the inside, something's off. If you're not in crisis, you're at a crossroads. And the playbook that built the life you have is not the playbook that builds the one you want. Either way, you're stuck. Not broken, stuck. Between who you were and who you're becoming. Most self-help just piles more weight on the load you're already carrying. I do not want to do that. I put together a free video series called The Grit Code Exposed. And I want to invite you to check it out. 7 short videos, that's it. The 5 laws that change everything for me and every client I coach. The same 5 that every person who's ever come back from the fire has walked through, whether they had a name for it or not. No fluff, no 90-minute webinar, no bait, just the free video series. You can start it tonight. Grab it at gritcodeexposed.com. One more time, gritcodeexposed.com. It's free. You don't need any more hustle. You need the next version, and this is how you find it. Check it out. See if it speaks to you, and if it does, I'll see you on the inside. All right, let's get back to the conversation. But yeah, man, this is the journey. But what strikes me, I remember where I saw this at, but ever since I've seen it, I can't unsee it. But we somehow, as a society, and I'd love to hear your take on this, we somehow as a society, we forgot to start normalizing adversity. We stopped normalizing failure. And I hate to say the word failure, because really failure is when you stop trying, right? But we stopped normalizing making mistakes. We normalize, the highlight reels, right? We need to stop normalizing that. Love to hear your feedback on that.
I completely agree. I think what you see and what you focus on is what becomes your reality. What you see and hear every day, it becomes your reality.
Yes.
If you're looking around, if you're looking on social media every single day, that becomes your reality. And the fact is, social media, it's a marketing channel, and it's a place where businesses, they inundate you with information. They sell you on things that you don't know you're being sold, whether it's fear, the political stuff, it's selling you fear.
Yep.
Whether it's, some product, some beauty product that's selling you
Yes. Agreed.
something else, right? But for the most part, that is going to become your reality, and that's just not reality.
Agree.
It's a business that once you feel a certain way, so you go and buy something.
Yes.
But the true reality for me is that every person is designed and created to do something great. They're uniquely created. And it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter how you feel about your current self. There is a God out there that believes that you are great. He created you uniquely.
Yes.
And you have the capability and the potential to unlock that right now. It's your decision. And there's a person named Jesus Christ that can help you do it. That's my personal opinion.
Yep.
And that's what I believe. But
yeah, that's a great point, man. I mean, you just, as you said this, you're right. You're saying everybody's created for a purpose. Everybody's created with the ability to do something amazing, right? And I agree with you. This was another point I drove home in the webinar last night. And here's what I'll say to that. And I refer back to one of my good friends. He was a past client of mine, Ryan Otwell. I was talking with him, and his wife was telling him, because he was talking about his journey and his amount of growth that he's had, very faith based, and his wife looked at him in the eye and says, Ryan, God doesn't make junk. You're created on this planet for a very specific purpose.
That's right.
And you can just see his eyes kind of tear up, and I'm tearing up, right, as I'm hearing it now I'm saying it to you. But every time now, such you're bringing it up, it reminds me of what she said. God does not create junk, right? And I know it sounds like it sounds a little unorthodox, but it's 100% true, right? But the problem is, and I think from what I heard correctly, you didn't specifically say this, but I read it between the lines here, that we need to go back to the 8-year-old where we had dreams, hopes, and aspirations before other people tainted those, right? Other people's opinions, beliefs, negative input, all of that garbage, right? And I have unfortunately seen so many people waste their talents because they truly don't believe. So, I mean, what do you say to this person? What do you say to these individuals who are sitting on talents that they are, quite frankly, just, they're not using them?
That's a hard question. That's a hard nut to crack.
It is. I agree, man.
It's a hard nut to crack, because it's like, and I was here too, in points in my life where I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do, and I was just kind of in a haze. I was convincing myself that what I was doing was the right thing to do, But and it's so hard when your entire community also supports that, all your friends and your family.
Yes.
That makes it even harder. But I think a lot of times what it is when you get that sort of small voice in your head, sort of an idea or a thought, maybe I should, go back to school and do the thing I always wanted to do, or maybe I should talk to an entrepreneur friend and talk to him about how do I get started. It's those little thoughts that come up that I think people don't do anything about.
Yes.
That you get in the habit of not doing anything about it, and you kind of get in this state where you just kind of get stuck.
Yes. Well, there's that too, right? But there's also that person that takes it to the friends, right? They take it to the friends.
Right.
Hey, I got this fill in the blank, this dream, this idea, this whatever, right?
Yep.
Their parents or their spouse says, "Oh, no, I don't think that's a good idea." What happens? Oh, okay.
They don't. Yeah, I experienced this actually, because when I wanted to, back when I first started, I actually started a private label brand back in 2017. That's kind of what kickstarted not truly kickstarted my entrepreneurial business, but that was like idea 2 or 3 that I was working on. But I was sharing this with friends and family, and they're like, "Don't do it. Don't quit. Don't." And then I was like, I kind of had this more of an attitude. Like I was like, "Nah, like I'm doing it anyways. Like, forget. I don't need your support." Sort of the rebellion side.
Yeah.
But actually, what it was is you're getting feedback from the wrong people. You need to get feedback from people that really care about you. Yeah. And know your passions and desires, that though, and a lot of times that might not be your family or your friends.
Yeah.
The person you ask for feedback does really matter, and you can't just be asking your neighbors and people about that. Their feedback really doesn't matter.
Agree. I mean, if you think about it, right? God put this vision in your head. He put it in your heart, in your mind. It's not for me or you or anybody else to see, right?
That's right.
So if, no kidding, we're not going to see it, right? Mm-hmm. It's not for us to see. It's your dream. It's my dream. It's, all whoever's dream it is. It's for them to go make happen. I said this at a conference. I don't remember which conference it was. I actually said this numerous times now, but the most the most valuable place, I don't think it was the most valuable place, but I forget the exact term I used, but the most valuable place, for lack of a better saying it, I asked this. I asked the audience, what do you think the most valuable place on the planet is? And everybody thought it was gold mines or diamonds, this, that, and the other. It's like, and I heard this from Les Brown. And he said, no, it's the graveyard. It's where all the hopes, dreams, inventions, things that could have changed the world, that's where they went to die, because people are too afraid to act on them.
Yep.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, they get afraid. Honestly, a lot of people have probably tried a little bit, but then it starts getting hard. They start disappointing people, running into setbacks.
Yeah.
It starts getting, friction starts to occur, and they just toss it aside.
Yes.
And that's actually a sign that you're on the right path.
Yes.
Because
the
devil doesn't want you to start living out who you're supposed to be and accomplishing the work that you're built to do.
Yeah.
He wants to derail you. And honestly, if you are experiencing some sort of setback, huge setback, major stress, that could mean you're on the right path. 100%. That could actually mean you're on the money.
Yeah.
And you can't give up.
100%.
It's actually something that I wish I heard. It is. It's counterintuitive. It's something I wish I heard a long time ago. Like, hey, bro, is your world falling apart? Plus, are you pursuing your dreams? Perfect. Keep going.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yep.
You're losing all your money, your homes, your kids hate you, or you're getting some relational dissonance, friction. Oh, random neighbor stuff happens. Perfect. Keep going.
Yep. Yeah, that's 100% true. But to your point, you said this perfectly, man. Nobody talks about this. So naturally, if we've never been in that environment before, people don't talk about it. We think, oh, wait a minute, this is wrong. This is bad, right? And they shift away. What is the most you're a man of faith. I know this because, and I admire this about you, Josh. And this is the first time I was ever asked this on a podcast. You asked me, Karl, you mind if we pray right quick before we hit record? That's very admirable, man. Very courageous of you. And I admire your faith. On that note, what is the most repeated word in the Bible? Fear. Do not fear.
Yeah.
That is the most repeated phrase in the Bible. I don't remember the exact amount of times, but that is the most repeated phrase in the entire Bible is do not fear. What do you think that says? What do you think that point is trying to drive home? Do not be afraid.
Well, I think as humans, we're pretty skittish.
Yes. Yeah, we are.
We can be in. Yeah, we are. I mean, very fickle. You could be in one thing one moment and then out another.
Yes.
And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And you got friends like this, but and I think what it is in the scriptures it just says the heart is fickle.
Yeah.
The heart is very fickle, and it's just a reality, and that's why it's so important to train your mind, train your beliefs, build the habits and the disciplines that daily disciplines that will help you do things even though you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So being able to separate emotion from action is so critical. Like a military style, I haven't been to the military. My brother has, but it's like just being able to do it.
Yeah.
And that because you have to.
Yeah.
And the more reps that you do of that, and matter of fact, actually, when you don't feel like doing something, that's the most important time to do it.
Exactly. I mean, you look around at every champion, right? Look at everyone. The late Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, all these individuals, right? I'm not a major sports guy, but one of the guys that I look up to, Tim Grover, he trained both Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. And but you look at any of them, they chose to show up. No, they decided, not choose. They decided to show up every single day, regardless of how they felt, right? Because it's easy to be the champion on the easy days, but but where the championship is made, or where the championship rounds is made, is on the days you don't feel like showing up.
That's right.
Right, and I reminded, even as early as today, I was on a podcast episode with John Paul Crimmy, and that dude blew me away. He's worked with a lot of Hollywood celebrities, good friends with Matthew Perry. That episode's going to be out here shortly. But he was talking about how the hard work, right, the results that you're seeking is on the other side of the hard work that you're avoiding.
That's right.
Right?
Completely agree. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And it's like, oof. Man, say that again. I feel like Mufasa, right? In Lion King.
Yeah.
Mufasa.
Honestly, I didn't understand what that meant. I've heard that in the past. You're mentioning Dan Martell. I heard him say that a ton.
Yep.
Your success is on the other side of your greatest fear, or something like that. Right? Some version of that. I didn't really understand it, but it's come to life for me this year. I've started to see it. And I think that it ties in with what we're talking about is like, when you get the sweaty palms, when you get your heart beating fast, when you start pitting out during the presentation, you're on stage, you just start pitting out because you're like just locked in, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
The scariest things that you do, like for me, I would say last year was the moment that I really started locking in and going pro, if you will, in the entrepreneurial journey. And it took a couple years to get there, but that's when I realized I have to do everything. Like I know everything I need to do, but I haven't done some things because I'm afraid of doing it. Speaking on stage, starting to network with, trying to get relationships built with some CEOs of larger companies, being afraid of competitors coming after me because we're good at what we do. I don't want to be a target.
That's a good thing.
I don't want to be a target. I was afraid, but those things have broken off. So I've started to do that. And, those are things that I used to be afraid of. But
it's understandable.
It's part of business.
Yeah.
And
it's part of growth, right? I mean,
it's part of growth. It's part of life.
Yeah.
You're always going to have haters, those trying to get from you, take from you or take business away from you.
Yeah.
But, that's where that courage comes in and that growth comes in.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to add a little bit of extra backstory there.
No, that makes perfect sense, man. I mean, this is why it says, I forget again how many times I should have looked it up while you're talking, but it is repeated. It is the most repeated phrase in the Bible is do not fear. Right. And it just know we all sucked at the first time of doing anything. The very first episode I've done this podcast, I know it sucked. Nobody wanted to tell me, but that's okay. I still love you guys. But every time we do something for the first time, it's going to suck, but that's okay.
Yeah. I was probably so terrible as a guest the first time, and every first time I can't even. I think I have a recording of my first pitch, like selling our services.
Yeah,
like I can't even listen to it. I'm just like,
I still can't listen to my stuff. Yeah,
it's just like speak up, like say it directly. Like what are you humming and hawing about? Like pitch it.
Yeah.
So
that's funny, man.
Anyways,
yeah, that's a good point, man. For sure.
I did real quick want to go back to the belief thing, the going back to the childhood.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work that I'm doing now is trying to identify the lies that I'm believing in about myself. And it's taken me a little while to get here, and I used to think it was kind of like a frou-frou kind of a thing, like a weird thing, but actually, just in my childhood, there were probably a couple core lies, one or two core lies that I believed in about myself that was actually stopping me from becoming the man, the father, the husband, the leader that I was supposed to be, that I'm supposed to be. And there is something that likely, if you don't know it, there is a lie that, particularly if you maybe came up in a home that actually doesn't even matter. Could be an experience, but there's probably some sort of lie that you're believing in about yourself.
Yes.
You're unworthy of success.
Yes.
You're not capable. You'll never make it. Deep down, these are like subconscious things that you believe in, but you got to like draw it out. Like for me, I have a prayer that I do and try to do with a friend as well, where it's like, all right, God, show us the lie. Like, what is that lie? Like, reveal it.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some prayer around it and sort of break that off. And in the name of Jesus. Um, but that is true freedom, and that is
You're
what I
right.
think is required in order to truly start a genuine leadership journey. Because all the leadership skills and tactics you learn, communicating well, and you gotta be able to connect it to your soul at a soul level
Yeah,
as well.
that's a good point for sure. I agree. I mean, if your heart's not right, right, yeah, it's all interconnected. Everything that you do is all
Mm-hmm.
interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to the beliefs. Because there are a lot of people that are running around with just beliefs that are not true. And again, these are not beliefs that you. We were digress a minute. I heard this at a church. One at a church I haven't been there in a while, but it's a church I used to go to quite a bit. It's about the voice of the enemy, right? The voice is never going to. The enemy is never going to come out as like the devil, right? Like Karl,
Right.
Josh, do not.
Right.
It's never like that, right?
Right.
It's your mind, it's your voice, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, of course, you would be able to defer that. You'd be able to delineate that voice and know, okay, I'm not going to do X because that voice is telling me. It's all in our own voice, right? And our own minds.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be super careful of what
Mm.
intrusive thoughts you allow in your mind, right? Because
Yes.
it's not in the enemy's voice. It's not like the devil's voice. It's in your own voice. It's in yeah. You just have to be super careful on the thoughts that you allow into your mind because they will distract you so easily. Real quick before you go, if you're still with me this deep into the episode, something in it hit you. Maybe it was the guest. Maybe it was one line. Either way, you're still here. And that feeling in your chest right now, that's the signal. Most people get a signal like that and do absolutely nothing with it. They close the app, life rushes back in, the moment's gone. 6 months later, they're in the exact same spot. I don't want that for you. So I put something together. I want to invite you to check out a free video series called The Grit Code Exposed. 7 short videos, the 5 laws I walk every client through, the same ones that rebuilt me when everything else fell apart. And if you listen closely today, you heard them running underneath the entire conversation. Because everyone who's come back from the fire walks through these 5 laws. Some find them on their own, some get help, but the laws don't change. Free video series. You can start it tonight. No fluff, no 90-minute webinar, just the series. And if you're going to do something with what you heard today, do this before life talks you out of it. Go to gritcodeexposed.com. One more time, gritcodeexposed.com. And hey, before I let you go, thank you for riding with me this long. It means a lot more than you know. Thank you.
Yes, and that's even outside the church context too. What, regardless of whatever religious or spiritual background you have, what thoughts are you allowing into your mind?
Agree.
And that is so powerful. That's been one of the strongest skills that I've been able to build is allowing those thoughts to just fade away. Either that somebody's trying to impress on me, somebody's trying to give me somehow, like interacting with them. I'm like, hey, that's your thing. Like, it's not going to bother me, but being able to train that up. But it is so true because you do get whispers,
Yes.
and you got to be able to cut those off. And,
yes, you do. Whispers. I like that.
And there's good ones, and then there's a lot of bad ones. And
how do you delineate between the two? Right? Like, talk to this person right now. It's listening to you. And that just question has popped in my mind. I actually just had this conversation the other day. How do you delineate between the two? How do you delineate, the enemy, the voice, the enemy speaking to you in God? How do you delineate the two?
Well, in order to delineate, I believe it requires familiarity. So you have to know the voice. You have to, when you hear your kid's voice in the crowd, you could tell,
Yes, you can.
right?
Yes, spot
Even
on.
if there's hundreds of kids, you could tell.
You're right.
Same thing with God's voice. You can tell, and you know the enemy's voice because you know it's not from God. When it's anything to do with taking you to shame or guilt or fear or confusion, right? In John 10:10, it says the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. But I have come so they may have life and have life abundantly. If it's not leading to abundant life, it's not the voice of God.
Yes, I agree.
If it's going to lead to stealing, killing, and destroying your life, your business, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, that's from the enemy.
Yep. Absolutely. If it's if it's going to create a path of destruction or fear, that all signs are pointing to the enemy. I agree, man. I agree.
And the best way to get to know and get more familiar is to talk more.
Yep.
With him and also get in the word. Start reading what it says.
100%, man. I agree. I agree. Well, cool, man. Well, fast forward to today. You're doing really well with your business, First Light Studios, right? First Light Studios is running. Your portfolio is growing. You're taking brands from zero to new release in 15 days. What is it that you're most fired up about right now in the season that you're in? What is the most thing you're fired up about right now?
I started my leadership journey pretty late. I never considered myself a leader. And it wasn't until a couple years ago that I did. So everything that I'm doing now, I never really tried to do. I was kind of just going along the path. I'm really excited to continuing to lead the team, build the team up. Really excited to meet other leaders that we get to partner with, whether it's a family-owned business or a leader at some brand. That's what I look for, people that I can actually partner and we can partner with long term and grow as leaders. That's really exciting for me.
Nice.
It doesn't necessarily matter the product or the service, but the fact that I get to build a team, rally it, support them, and also our clients as well.
Yeah.
That's really fun for me. Awesome. It's more about if you know about EOS.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's more about the visionary part, doing more of that than the tactical. So
awesome. Yeah. It's funny. You're probably the fourth person. Yeah, fourth person. About 4 or 5 episodes ago, I had a guest. He was the top EOS implementer out of Australia.
I might need to connect with him.
Yeah, I'm happy to make that connection. He is funny. My gosh, he was hilarious. Murray Smith, that's his name. Okay. Funny guy, funny story, but man, his story is brutal. One of the most decorated police officers in Australia. I'll say the story for you. You have to listen to the episode, but yeah. So EOS has been top of mind lately for quite a bit.
Yeah.
But well, awesome, man. Well, I love to give every guest an opportunity to give themselves 60 seconds to talk to the version of themselves 20, 25, 30 years ago. If they had to juice them up with some type of message to give them the path forward, right? So in other words, what would be the advice that you wish you had heard 20, 25 years ago, or even 10 years ago?
I would tell that person, you are called, you are capable, fully capable, and there is a plan that only you can carry out. And it's highly likely that nobody else is going to want you to do this or support you in doing this. But if you feel it in your heart, do everything you can to make it possible. Fully commit to that. Even if it's lonely, even if it's hard, even if you lose all your friends, commit to it.
Man, so good. Love it. Awesome. Well, as we start to wrap up, there's some rapid fire questions I've got for you. In this season that you're in, what does grit mean for you?
Grit means showing up every day, waking up every day and choosing to live in gratitude, in joy, and to do the hardest thing that I can and not avoid it. To make the hard decisions and work at the hard thing. And a lot of times it means staying disciplined and not being distracted. So only working on one thing at a time, even when there's a bunch of things that I do want to work on.
I can relate, man. I know a lot of people can relate to that one for sure.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Awesome, man. Last two questions. Both of these I prepared you for in your room before we hit record. Well, you're in the trenches, man. You're in the thick of it. Either for a moment, day, week, month, however long. What is a quote or directive or even a scripture that you tell yourself to pull yourself out of those seasons or out of that moment?
First scripture that comes to mind is Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. And it goes on and on and on, but it's all about dwelling. It's less about performing or training your brain to show up. Yeah. It's just about dwelling and letting God take care of the rest. Sort of letting go. That's and surrendering to a great and mighty God.
Love it, man. Love it. All right, this last question, Josh, man, is a two-part question that I prepared you for, right? And for those that are listening, especially if you're listening for the first time, guys, I love to give my guest an opportunity to challenge my future guests with a question of their own. Now, guys, the lineup is completely anonymous, so it's not like Josh had a sneak peek as to who the guest is or anything about this person. So, Josh, my previous guest, Allie Grok, had this question for you. Actually, she had two options, but I'm going to go with option one because this seems a little more appropriate, especially in light of our conversation today.
Okay.
If you could hang out for 10 minutes with one historical figure, not a president, but some unique historical figure who emulates who you would most like to be, who would it be?
That's a great question. I don't know if I've ever thought about that one. Can't be a president?
Nope.
There's a guy named Bonhoeffer. And he was part of a group here in the U.S. during the World War II days. A great man of faith that actually tried to take Hitler out. He has a huge autobiography, but I'd be interested in hanging out with him.
Nice. Okay. Great answer, man. Great answer. The other option was this: a dad joke. Her and I were riffing off on dad jokes because I showed her that I've got a deck of dad jokes that my wife brings home from where she works, one of her coworkers.
So fun.
It is.
Yeah.
But the other option was, what is your favorite dad joke? Right? So here, I'll read you off one.
All right. I actually don't know many dad, like
I
I've
don't
heard
either.
of dad jokes, but like I haven't memorized them.
I don't either. If it went for this deck here, I'd be hosed. I could tell a joke about a pizza, but it's a little cheesy. Yeah, that was horrible. That was the first one on the deck. Anyways,
there's this channel, I think a YouTube channel, where just some guys sit around like fishing.
Yes, I
and
remember
they just
that one.
tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hilarious.
It is, man. It is.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's an alien version of that too.
Was there?
Yes, there's an alien version of that. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, all right, man, your turn. What is the one challenge that you would love to, or question that you would love to challenge my next guest with?
My question would be, what is stopping you from doing the thing you've always wanted to do?
It's a good one.
It's kind of complex. I think it's kind of complex.
It is. And I'm looking at my next guest, and man, that's perfect. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
I can't tell you who it is either, man. I can't break it, but
I'll be tuning in.
All right, man. I'm going to hold you to it. So
yeah, I'll be tuning in.
Josh, my man, if they want to learn more about your agency, or they want to connect with you in the stuff that you do, or just say thank you for being on this episode, where can they connect with you, man? Or learn more about you?
Yeah, so I'm active on LinkedIn and Instagram, but I would say if you have a brand and you want to launch on Amazon for the first time, I have a playbook that we use internally on how we launch brands in less than 2 weeks. And I'm happy to send that playbook to you. And then alternatively, if you do have a brand and you're kind of selling internationally, you're dealing with the gray market, something called parallel exports, where folks are able to buy your goods cheaper overseas and then sell them in the US. And you start losing pricing control, brand control, dealing with counterfeits. We have a playbook for you as well. If you just want to DM me at one Joshua Lee, at ONE Joshua Lee, just DM me Karl and I'll send that to you.
Awesome. Karl with a K. Awesome.
Karl with the K.
There we go. Want to clarify that because a lot of people spell it with a C, so I don't want anybody to mess that up. So, well, awesome, guys. Make sure you take advantage of this. I could tell by his heart he loves what he does. I know how hard in this space, how hard it is to find people that are legit and sincerely care, and so definitely want to leverage that. So, Josh, my man, I really genuinely appreciate you sharing this hour with us, man. Sharing some nuggets of wisdom, sharing your journey with us. Not just giving us the highlight reel, but allowing us to sneak underneath the hood to give us a glimpse of what it takes to persevere through the fires, right? To leave one identity and go to the next. And I pray and hope that this episode inspires just one person, another Josh out there that's listening to you, that needs to hear your success story to be determined to say, all right, I'm in. Right. So, Josh, man, I really appreciate you. Honor and respect you for that, my man.
Thank you so much, Karl. It's a pleasure to be on here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. My pleasure. All right. To those that listen and watching, the gap between average and excellence is just action, guys. Even imperfect action. In fact, that's what it requires, is imperfect action. Don't just listen to Josh today. Please just take one thing he shared and implement it within the next 24 hours, as well as be the reason someone doesn't quit today. Don't just keep this episode to yourself. Someone in your circle needs this right now. Send it to them. Josh, again, my dude, thank you for stepping in the arena, my man.
Thank you, Karl.
Absolutely.